Hey guys, how's it going? Tally here, and because I love Pendulum monsters so much, and I've never actually opened Pendulum Evolution, any of those packs, I thought I'd actually, when I'm doing this, and opening my first few, that I'd do it for you guys, just to see how we get along, and see what, I've actually never seen what's in the set, so I'm actually quite excited to dive in here. Of course we have our Pendulum editions, which of course we know I'm a huge fan of, so taking a look at that, hopefully we get some other things that kind of are surprising or cool or fun text to run another. God, that sounds awful. But yeah, so hopefully we get some cool cards at this. I actually already opened the pack earlier, not to ruin the surprise. We'll get to that later on, because I realised my camera wasn't actually running at the time, so that's one wasted pack. But we've got 3 right here. Insert awful DZ for reference, because pack openings have to have that apparently. And let's just dive right into it. So pack number 1. I'm not entirely sure what we'll get. I know that, of course, we do have Astrograph Sorcerer in the set, RIP Astrograph Sorcerer, and we've got a few other cards that I'm pretty sure are banned, so let's take a look. So we start off with Ritual Beast Tamer Zephram Pelika. So, Pendulum Skill 1, you cannot Pendulum summon monsters except Ritual Beast and Zephyr monsters, and that effect cannot be negated. And for its actual monster effect, when this card is normal or Pendulum summoned, you can target 1 Ritual Beast or Zephyr monster in my graveyard, except Ritual Beast Tamer Zephram Pelika. Special summon it but destroy it during the end phase. You can only special summon 1 Ritual Beast Zephram Pelika once per turn. Not entirely sure how I feel about that, but we'll keep a wee note of it. Then we've got Pendulum Shift, so target 1 card in either player's Pendulum zone and declare a Pendulum scale from 1 to 10. This turn that card becomes that Pendulum scale. That could actually be quite cool. It's a quick play spell as well, so that might come up as a cool tech if I'm ever kind of looking into new strategies. Then we've got the Zephyr Divine Strike. When a spell or trap or monster effect is activated, banish 1 face-up Zephyr monster in your extra deck, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. That's actually really cool, so that's a counter trap. That might be partially why Zephyr does decently. I'm really considering building Zephyr, so we've got a few Zephyr cards so far, so let's keep a note of this. And oh, look who it is. Astrograph Sorcerer, the banned boy himself. So I actually really love this card, and kind of more of the art side of things, and its effect of course is totally busted in conjunction with Electromite, so we're gonna put him over in his own little pile. Love him. And of course we've got Harmonizing Magician as well, which is also one of my favourite Pendulum Magicians. When it's Pendulum Summon, it's a +1, so nothing wrong with that at all. When it's in the Pendulum scale, it's a scale of 8, which is a great scale, and all monsters you control, so not even Pendulum Magicians or kind of sorcerers, they all gain 100 attack for each, attack and defense for each face-up Magician Pendulum monster with different names from your extra deck, and it's not too hard to get a bunch of different Magicians in your extra deck, so that's quite a good time. So we're going to pop Harmonized Magician over with Astrograph Sorcerer because that card's awesome. Moving on to pack number 2. Okay, so we've got Lector Pendulum, the Drake Overlord. So, of course, this comes from the true Draco lore side of things. So, let's take a look at this card because I've never actually pulled it before. So, its Pendulum effect, negate the effects of all face-up Pendulum monsters while your opponent controls them. Okay. And its monster effect, at the start of the damage step, if this card battles a Pendulum monster, destroy both that monster and this card. Not too bad, kind of spot removal. Okay, then we've got an Shiny Odd Eyes Fusion, which I was actually really needing. I didn't actually know that they printed it in anything higher than a common from the Legendary Dragon decks, so I'm happy enough with that. That'll be going in the side deck of the Odd Eyes deck. Essentially what this card does is it lets me fusion summon 1 Dragon type fusion monster from my extra deck using monsters from my hand or field as fusion materials, and if my opponent controls 2 or more monsters and I control none, I can also use up to 2 Odd Eyes monsters in my extra deck as fusion material, and I can only activate 1 Odd Eyes fusion per turn. That's not too bad. I wish it was slightly more busted, but at least it's not Red Eyes fusion. Am I right? And then we've got Hypno Sister. I've never seen Hypno Sister before. So this card gains effects based on the total number of cards in both players' Pendulum zones. So this isn't really going to be a great card to put in my locals because I'm the only guy who plays Pendulums. But let's take a look. So 1 of more, this card gains 800 attack and defense, becoming a 2100 beater. That's terrifying. 2 or more at the start of the damage step. If this card battles a Pendulum summon monster, destroy that monster. Pointless. 3 or more monsters your opponent controls must attack this card if able, And 4, if this card destroys a monster by battle or by its own effect, draw 1 card. That seems, that actually seems decent, yeah. So it doesn't look as if that's a once per turn, so, you know, I'm sure there's something busted in there. And then another banned card, Double Iris Magician. I really like Double Iris Magician because this plus Electromite and the Time Pendulum graphs is insane. Okay, so once per turn for the Pendulum effect, you can target 1 Dark Spellcaster type monster, control and apply this effect to it, then destroy this card. Once applied, double any battle damage that monster inflicts to your opponent this turn, and if it battles an opponent's monster. So essentially it's Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon's effect as a pendulum effect. And for its monster effect, this card is always treated as a Pendulum Dragon card. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can add 1 Pendulum Graph card from your deck to your hand. So that is non-once per turn, okay? So that plus Electromite and Astrograph Sorcerer is an insane combo because it sets you up with all your Pendulum Graphs, your time and the other Pendulum Graph is totally blanking on me just now, but I'll put a little picture of it on the screen just so you know what I'm talking about. So this card, it kind of deserves to be banned right now, as sad as I am, because I do love the Time Pendulum Graph, especially being an insane trap card for kind of removal and dealing with big monsters, you know, and hard to deal with monsters. I can understand why this card's banned, so RIP Double Iris Magician. And speak of the devil, we've got Time Pendulum Graph. So let's take a look and let's see why I love it so much. So your opponent cannot target spellcaster type monsters you control with trap cards or effects. You can only use the following effect of Time Pendulum Graph once per turn. You can target 1 Magician monster card in your Pendulum Zone and 1 card your opponent controls. Destroy them, so it happens at the same time. Then if this card did not destroy 2 cards, you can send 1 card in the field to the graveyard. So you think, what's really, like, why would it not destroy 2 cards? Because Pendulum Magicians have a card called Pendulum Call, which allows you to search out 2 Magicians and then stops your Pendulum Magicians and the scale from being destroyed up until the end of your opponent's next turn. So it basically means that Time Pendulum Graph gets a free, you know, 2 free monsters from your opponent's side of the field, which is insane. Okay, and moving on to the last pack that we're going to open. It's actually not the last pack that we're going to look at because, as we said, I opened one earlier without realising. Totally messed up the camera side of things. So we have Metalphos Adamantite. It does nothing. It's 25k beater. Fun. And we have Lecter Pendulum and Draco Overlord. Metalphos counter. So if a card you control, or cards you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, special summon 1 Metalphos monster from your deck during your player's turn, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add 1 face-up Metalphos Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. Kinda cool. And Star Pendulum Graph, that's the one I was thinking about earlier. So Star Pendulum Graph. Your opponent cannot target spellcaster type monsters you control with spell cards or effects. If a face-up Magician Pendulum monster leaves the field, Monster Zone or Pendulum Zone, add 1 Magician Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Star Pendulum Graph once per turn. So again, this in conjunction with Astrograph and Electromite was a pretty busted combo. Gained you a bit more of a card advantage than you normally would. And then again, we've got another Harmonizing Magician. Okay, after a short interruption there, we're just going to take a look at some of the cards again. So we're going to take a look at Enlightenment Paladin. So it's a Synchro 8, 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters, and if this card is synchro summoned using a Magician Pendulum monster as material, you can target 1 spell or card in your graveyard and add it to your hand. You can only use this effect of Enlightenment Paladin once per turn. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack. So that's quite cool. It's essentially you know, the Pendulum Magician's Flame Wingman, and it allows you to get back a Sake card that may be in your graveyard, something like, you know, if you've got your Star Pendulum Graph in the graveyard, you can use it next turn. Then moving on, we've got Ritual Beast Tamer Zephyr Wendy. This card can, it's a scale 7 and you cannot Pendulum summon monsters except Ritual Beast and Zephyr monsters. This effect cannot be negated, again, just like the other Zephyr cards we've seen. When this card is normal or Pendulum summoned, you can add 1 face-up Zephyr monster from your extra deck to your hand, except Ritual Beast Tamer Zephyr Wendy, and you can only special summon Ritual Beast Tamer Zephyr Wendy once per turn. I do believe this card is actually used in some Zephyr decks, so I'll keep a hold of this because, again, maybe building Zephyr in the future because I've got to feel that Pendulum obsession. And then we have Dragon Pulse Magician. This card actually has lore associated with it. So this boy Magician has the gift of seeing natural lines of energy that run through the earth. as people call the Pulse of the Dragon. His experience his experience and skill put him in high regard with his mentor, the Dragon Pit Magician, which of course, as some of you know, is another Pendulum Magician monster. Okay, and then with regards to the Pendulum effect, once per turn, if you have a Magician card in your other Pendulum zone, you can discard one Pendulum monster, then target one face-up monster in the field and destroy it. So that's actually not too bad. And then we have White Wing Magician, the card that's sadly overshadowed all the time by Harmonizing Magician, because Harmonizing Magician is just better. So once per turn, when a card is activated that targets a dark spellcaster type, when a card or effect resolves that targets a dark spellcaster type monster you control, negate that effect and destroy this card. Okay, and then for its monster effect, it's always treated as a Synchro Dragon card. If this Pendulum Summon card is used for Synchro Summon, banish it, which is quite normal upon kind of Pendulum tuner monsters, because you don't want them to be too abusable. Okay, and then one thing this card also implies, it implies that Clearwing, because this card is essentially supposed to be Clearwing in a Magician form, is actually female. So Clearwing Synchro Dragon is the only female dragon of the 4 dimensional dragons, which is quite cool. And then lastly, we've got Chronograph Sorcerer. So Chronograph Sorcerer is currently what's used to loop with Electromite and things like DD Kepler. So essentially, when a card is destroyed, you can special summon it from your hand, and when you do it that way, you can special summon another monster. It's a pendulum effect. Essentially, I'm not going to read all of that because it's a wall of text. Its pendulum effect allows you to destroy itself and special summon a Time Gazer Magician, which is always fun when you're trying to get that Electromite out really early. So this is a free of in every and all pendulum decks, as far as I'm concerned, and it's a scale 8, so you can't go wrong with a scale 8. So guys, that was my first pack opening. Kind of not perfect just yet. Well, do you know what? In fact, no, I'm Papatali, it's perfect. So we've got Fodder Ultras, Chronograph Sorcerer, White Wing, Harmonizing Star, Time Pendulum Graph, Double Iris, RIP, Harmonizing, always great, and Astrograph Sorcerer, RIP. Forgot to mention his effects essentially. He can special summon himself when a card is destroyed and add one card that's been destroyed this turn to your hand. And for his Pendulum effect, again, you can use him to get out Stargazer Magician, that's the one. So these two in conjunction, where how you used to turbo out Electromite. And then with the loss of Astrograph, a lot of Pendulum decks got a lot less consistent, but we're still powering through. So let's head to the outro. Okay, so thanks again guys for joining in. I just thought it's not going to be a common occurrence on the channel to do pack openings, but I've never opened any Pendulum Evolution before, and because I enjoy Pendulum monsters so much, I thought I would just have you guys in on the journey with me to see what we got there. So again, we got some of my favourite cards, a couple reprints, or not reprints, but a couple new copies of cards that I needed, so that saves me from re-sleeving loads of different cards. But I'm happy enough with the cards that I got there. A couple of Harmonized Magicians were definitely key for me, so I'm going to leave it at that. But again, thanks a lot for joining in today. Always remember to like it if you liked it. If you loved it, give it a share and tell everyone you know, including the mailman. Again, thank you. Again, you've been brilliant. I've been Tally. I'll catch you all later.